Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. 3 Kingdoms. I can train soldiers in Dreams Chu Feng travels through the 3 kingdoms, awakens the dream training system, can create dreams, train armies in dreams, and the training results can also be feedback to reality. 1 day in reality, 10 years in dreams. The new recruits with no combat effectiveness turned into elite soldiers overnight. Chu Feng. Dong Zhuo, Cao Cao, I heard that your Xiliang Iron Cavalry and Tiger and Leopard Cavalry are very powerful. Come and compete with my newly recruited recruit. Dong Zhuo, Cao Cao looked at the new soldiers holding long spears, one by one, who were picking and killing the Iron Cavalry and Tiger and Leopard Cavalry of Xiliang. He roared angrily, "Are you a new soldier?" Chu Feng. The goods are genuine and the price is reasonable. We only recruited them 3 days ago. Dong Zhuo, Cao Cao. Guo Jia, Zhao Yun, and a group of civil and military officials. The Lord is truly the God of military training. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Dream Training System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the 7th year of Guanghe, the Yellow Turban Uprising broke out and swept through most of the Eastern Han Dynasty in just a few months, shocking the world. During the exhaustion of the Eastern Han court in dealing with yellow scarves, northern ethnic minorities headed south to the Han border to burn, kill, and loot, resulting in heavy casualties among the border residents. Liangzhou Beidi County, a village in Lianxian County in the north. A handsome young man, about 18 years old, was sleeping on a tattered wooden bed. His name is Chu Feng, and he has traveled through the ages. It's just that the location after crossing was not very good. It appeared in mid-air at a height of 10 meters, fell down, and directly knocked out. It was the people in the village who rescued him and sought treatment from a doctor. It has been over a month now and his body has recovered. According to the doctor, he will probably wake up today. In fact, Chu Feng did wake up. Just as he was about to get up, a mechanized voice suddenly rang out in his mind. The dream training system is activated, and the host can enter the dream training system. Chu Feng paused for a moment and asked, "How do we train troops?" The system responded, the host can freely create a dream and spend a certain dream value to pull real people into the dream for training. The premise is that the other party's loyalty to the host reaches 50 or more. The host can enter the dream world for free for training. 1 day in reality, 10 years in dreams. The training results in dreams will to some extent be reflected in reality. Nowadays, the system is beginner level and can simultaneously pull 100 people into dream training. After each dream, 60% of the training results will be returned to reality. After coming out of the dream, the trainer's loyalty to the host automatically increases to 100, and these trainers kill enemies, and the host will receive dream points and experience points. Experience points are used to upgrade the system, dream points are used to pull people into dream training, and can also be exchanged for troops training methods or equipment in the system mall. I understand. Chu Feng said in his heart. Ding. The host has a beginner gift package waiting to be claimed. Do you want to claim and open it now? The system asked. Open. Chu Feng said. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the peerless weapon, the peerless marksmanship, the immortal determination, and the designated unit training method. The marksmanship is stored in the system space, and the host can extract it at any time. The marksmanship has been directly instilled in the host's mind. The designated unit training method can be used by the host at any time. The system's prompt sound starts. Immediately after, Chu Feng's mind was filled with a lot of complex information, which was the cultivation method of the spear immortal technique. The host can enter the dream realm for cultivation at any time. After entering the dream realm, the real body will enter a low-energy state, and can last for up to 1 day without eating or drinking. The system prompts. Enter now. Chu Feng couldn't help but enter a dream and practiced according to the spear immortal technique. It wasn't until 24 hours later that he was awakened by a hunger sensation and suddenly sat up from the bed. Buzz. A powerful force surged into his body, and his fierce aura was rapidly rising. In an instant, he grew from an ordinary person with no strength to become a first-class warrior. One day in reality, 10 years in dreams. In his dream for 10 years, he broke through to the realm of a super first-class warrior with the help of the spear immortal technique. But the current system is only at a beginner's level, and can only provide feedback on 60% of the strength in the dream, lowering the realm to a first-class level. Moreover, he has experienced countless practical battles in his dreams over the past decade, and his combat experience is also incredibly rich. Dream training. It's really amazing. Chu Feng stood up, his mind stirred, and in an instant, the gun appeared in his hand, igniting a murderous aura. That familiar feeling has returned. What a strong bloody smell. Suddenly, Chu Feng frowned and looked outside. Ah! Just then, a mournful scream came from outside the house. Chu Feng's face changed and he rushed out with a long gun in hand. On the open space outside, several soldiers dressed in exotic costumes were carrying a bag of food, grinning grimly as they took out their large knives from an old man's chest. Beside them, there are several war horses. That old man is the village chief who saved himself and came back. Being alone means having a kind heart. I didn't expect to die at the hands of foreign soldiers. You guys, seek death. Chu Feng was furious, and a cold and murderous aura swept through him. The foreign soldier muttered incessantly without knowing what he was talking about, and then several soldiers swung their swords and rushed towards him. Chu Feng snorted coldly, his spear trembled, and in an instant, he shot several shots, piercing through the hearts of several foreign soldiers. The foreign soldier carrying food looked fearful and turned around to run away. Chu Feng kicked the big knife under his feet, cutting through the sky and inserting it into the back of the soldier from another ethnic group. Village Chief. Chu Feng ran over and helped up the old village chief who had not yet breathed his breath, feeling very uncomfortable in his heart. If only I had woken up early for a while. Child, you finally wake up. Hurry up and leave here. The farther away, the better. Don't let those Southern Xiongnu people see you again, the old village chief said intermittently before swallowing his breath. The Southern Xiongnu. Chu Feng gritted his teeth and gently put down the body of the village chief. He mounted a warhorse and rushed towards other parts of the village. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Heartless Killing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The entire village was filled with soldiers from the Southern Xiongnu. These vassal states, which were originally dependent on the Han dynasty, finally extended their despicable fangs and waved their butcher's knives at these kind and simple people. All the survivors of the village gathered together, looking at the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu around them with frightened and angry expressions. The slow-moving elderly, children, women, and children have all been killed, and only the strong men managed to survive. But at this moment, they were surrounded by dozens of soldiers from the Southern Xiongnu, with no way to escape. Everyone was filled with despair. Are these despicable Southern Xiongnu people really going to be exterminated and their village completely destroyed? The leader of the Southern Xiongnu raised his hand, and all the Southern Xiongnu soldiers shouted excitedly, waving their big swords, and the warhorses under his crotch were also beating their hooves excitedly. As soon as the leader's hand falls, this group of Southern Xiongnu soldiers will excitedly rush over and mercilessly slaughter the surviving Han people. Let's all die for it. Just then, a roar came from behind. The soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu turned their heads and saw a young man approaching with a gun and a horse, his eyes red and obviously extremely angry. But they didn't care at all, still talking and laughing. The leader waved and sent 2 soldiers to greet him. Chu Feng's eyes were cold and murderous. They rushed all the way, with corpses of the people scattered throughout the village. Elderly people, women, children, and even infants who are still in swaddling clothes are all killed by falling alive. These Southern Xiongnu people are simply a group of animals. He has never wanted to kill like he does now. These soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu deserve to die. Seeing 2 soldiers wielding large knives rushing towards him, Chu Feng snorted coldly, shook his long spear, and pulled out 2 firecrackers. With a couple of puffs and puffs, seemingly incredibly beautiful firecrackers mercilessly pierced through the throats of 2 soldiers. Throughout, his speed was not affected at all. By the time those 2 soldiers were killed, he had already appeared in front of the leader. The leader was surprised and quickly shouted loudly, speaking incomprehensible language. Immediately after, all the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu came to attack Chu Feng. Chu Feng was unafraid and waved his long spear, flying one by one. Wherever they passed, corpses flew wildly and screamed in agony. No one can stop his attack. Die for me. In an instant, Chu Feng had already killed in front of the leader, and in an instant, his gun swept away. The leader was taken aback and quickly swung his big knife horizontally in front of him. With a loud bang, the gun hit the big sword in an instant, and it flew off the warhorse with a man and a knife. It rolled several times on the ground several meters away before stopping. After struggling a few times, there was no movement. The leader was killed, and the remaining soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu screamed in fear and ran away. Chu Feng did not chase after them, in order to prevent the villagers who had finally been rescued from encountering danger again. Thank you for your life-saving kindness, Duke N. We have nothing to repay. Please accept our bow. The rescued villagers all knelt down and kowtowed to Chu Feng. Villagers, get up quickly. Chu Feng dismounted and helped everyone up one by one. Are you the boy who was rescued by the village chief? Suddenly, someone remembered Chu Feng's identity and exclaimed in surprise. Not bad. Chu Feng nodded and said, the village chief has shown me a life-saving kindness, but unfortunately I woke up too late and couldn't save him in time. Fortunately, I saved you in time and left some blood in the village. The villagers couldn't help but show sadness upon hearing these words. Their families have all died. I know you are very sad, but now is not the time for sorrow. Chu Feng said in a low voice, follow me back to the village first, bury the bodies of the villagers, and then leave here quickly. After those Southern Xiongnu soldiers escape, they will definitely come back for revenge. We need to be fast. Okay. Let's listen to Duke N. Everyone said one after another. Mount these warhorses, pick up their swords, and return to the village. Chu Feng pointed to the warhorses that had lost their owners and were leisurely grazing on the roadside, as well as the large knives beside the corpses of the Southern Xiongnu soldiers on the ground, and said in a deep voice. Everyone walked up, picking up a war knife and kicking the bodies of the Southern Xiongnu soldiers a few times. Chu Feng counted and found that there were only 18 survivors in total. All were strong adults, and the rest could not escape the pursuit of the Southern Xiongnu soldiers. Those warhorses are relatively gentle and not too resistant. Let these villagers who don't know how to ride horses lie on their horses and not fall off. Everyone rode their horses back to the village, buried all the corpses of the villagers, and left the village together, galloping towards the nearest deep mountain forest. Shortly after their departure, a cavalry of several hundred people from the Southern Xiongnu arrived. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Entering Dreamland, training the 18 Cavalries of Yen Yun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Feng instructed everyone to tie their warhorses to the tree trunks around them, forming a circle and forming a warning line. Whether there are people or wild beasts approaching, these battles will emit a roar due to nervousness. Chu Feng looked at the crowd and said, "The Southern Xiongnu invaded our territory of the Great Han, killing my parents, brothers, relatives, and friends. This revenge must be avenged." Revenge. Everyone looked at each other, somewhat moved, but more still hopeless. They are just unarmed civilians, why seek revenge on those soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu? Chu Feng said again, "I will conduct a mysterious special training for you, cultivating each of you into 100 battle elite and giving you the ability to seek revenge." Special training. After a moment of contemplation, everyone showed surprise and Chi said, "If your majesty can make us seek revenge, we are willing to be your majesty's servants and wait for your majesty's orders." Chu Feng shook his head and said, "What I want is not a servant, but a brave warrior who is not afraid of death." "Alright, everyone is tired today, let's take a break first." "Okay." Everyone nodded and sat on the ground, resting against a big tree. They were already exhausted and soon fell into a deep sleep. System, have their loyalty met the standards? Chu Feng asked in his heart. Once they meet the standards, the host can pull them into the dreams you create at any time, the system responded. How much dream value do I have? Chu Feng asked again. The system replied, the host killed a total of 20 ordinary South Xiongnu soldiers this time, obtaining a total of 40 dream points and 40 experience points, kill 6 elite members of the Southern Xiongnu and obtain a total of 30 dream points and 30 experience points, kill 1 soldier from the 100 battles and gain 20 dream points and 20 experience points. Obtain a total of 90 dream points and 90 experience points. Entering a dream, each person consumes 10 dream points per day, 10 dream values per day, 18 people need 180 dream values per day, and 90 dream values are only enough for 12 hours. 12 hours in reality and 5 years in dreams. After thinking for a moment, Chu Feng asked again, System, do I still have one more chance to specify the method of selecting a specific unit for training? Yes, does the host have the only chance to obtain free training for the unit now? The system asked. Yan Yun's 18 Cavalries can also be considered a type of military service, right? Chu Feng asked. Yes, the system responded. Okay, then exchange it for the training method for the 18 Cavalries of Yan Yun, Chu Feng said. At present, there are only 18 people, and only this training method is most suitable for them. The system prompts, Host, the Yan Yun 18 Cavalry is a special unit with only 18 members. Once the number is full, you cannot train anyone else to become the Yan Yun 18 Cavalry. Unless someone from the original Yan Yun 18 Cavalry dies, you can find someone to replace them. Well, I understand what you mean now. It's okay, just use this, Chu Feng said. The meaning of the system is that exchanging for Yan Yun 18 Cavalry can only train these 18 people. If anyone enters a dream in the future, they cannot train according to the method of Yan Yun 18 Cavalry and can only undergo regular training. Okay, the training method for the Yan Yun 18 Cavalry has been redeemed. After the host pulls them into a dream, it will be directly instilled in their minds, the system prompts. This is quite convenient. Chu Feng nodded and immediately created a dream, pulling 18 villagers into it. The newly obtained 90 dream points are instantly cleared. He also entered a dream, where he led 18 people to charge through the thousands of armies. In dreams, even after death, one can be resurrected and start over. In these practical battles, the strength of the 18 people rapidly improved. 12 hours passed in a blink of an eye, and 5 years passed in my dream. In the dream, all 18 people reached the level of 100 warriors. After leaving the dream, the host can choose to make them remember everything that happened in the dream, or choose to make them forget everything. After forgetting everything, they can return to reality and still receive feedback on the results of dream training. The system prompts. Chu Feng thought for a moment and said, then let them forget. Okay, host. Time has arrived, everyone will immediately leave the dream. The system responded. Ah. After returning to reality, everyone shouted loudly and instinctively stood up. It seemed like something had happened, but I couldn't remember it, so I had to give up in the end. But at this moment, their bodies underwent earth-shattering changes. Their momentum is soaring wildly. 60% of the training results in the dream were given back to them. In an instant, they were promoted from unarmed ordinary people to elite soldiers. In this world, soldiers are also graded. New recruits, regular soldiers, elite warriors, warriors of all trades, and ace warriors. The peak of the Yanyan 18 cavalry is the ace in the ace, the invincible teacher. Unfortunately, these people's talents are not very good, and they cannot train to the peak in 5 years. Only reaching the realm of 100 warriors and giving back 60% of the training results to reality, only the realm of elite warriors remains. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Returning to the village, the first battle of 18 cavalries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. And Chu Feng also received feedback from the dream, and his strength has reached a first-class post-production stage. After adapting to the newly increased strength, Chu Feng looked at everyone and said calmly, "The mysterious special training I gave you has ended. Now that you are all elite warriors, you have the ability to seek revenge. The special training has already ended. When did it start? Why don't I remember at all?" Everyone looked at each other in confusion. "Didn't you notice any changes in your body?" Chu Feng asked with a smile. I realized it was very powerful, and there were many inexplicable combat skills that I had never seen or learned before, but I felt so familiar and as if I could perfectly unleash them at any time. Someone exclaimed in amazement. That's right, this is the mysterious special training, because to maintain mystery, you will automatically forget everything except for the training results after the training is over, Chu Feng explained. I see. Everyone suddenly realized and firmly believed in this explanation. If it weren't for that, how could they have undergone such a big change inexplicably? We will never forget the kindness that the Lord has bestowed upon us. We will pledge our loyalty to the Lord to the death, and we will never refuse to die. Everyone saluted in unison. Coming out of their dreams, their loyalty to Chu Feng has automatically risen to 100 and they will never betray. Don't be too polite. Chu Feng woke everyone up and thought for a moment before saying, in the future, you will be called the 18 Red Blood Cavalries. Every battle, you must dye the enemy's blood red on your own armor. No. Everyone responded in unison. Chu Feng said again, now those soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu are definitely still searching for us around the village. This is a great time for us to seek revenge. Take our big swords, ride our war horses, and follow me back to the village. The blood debt will be paid with blood, and we will kill all these animals. Kill all those animals, everyone shouted in unison. Let's go. Everyone turned over and mounted their horses. Chu Feng swung his gun in an instant and rushed towards the village. As soon as I arrived near the village, I saw a group of Southern Xiongnu soldiers. Those Southern Xiongnu soldiers naturally also noticed them. It's them, it's them. The soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu who fled yesterday shouted and shouted in the language of the Southern Xiongnu. Kill them. One of the 100 commanders led his 100 soldiers directly out. Yesterday, the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu suffered the biggest loss since entering the shouting border. The Southern Xiongnu commander in charge of looting Lianxian was furious and directly sent 300 commanders, leading 300-man teams, along with dozens of soldiers who had previously fled back, to return to the village for revenge. Unfortunately, by the time they arrived, Chu Feng and others had already left. But they don't intend to just give up, they have been searching for traces around the village. Now, when they finally see their targets, they all wish to immediately cut them to death with knives so that they can go elsewhere to plunder. Kill. Without any hesitation, Chu Feng charged away with the 18 red-blood cavalries. In an instant, the gun swung and charged straight towards the top 100 commander. He doesn't know who this person is, but the armor on his body is much better than other Southern Xiongnu soldiers, and he is probably a leader or something. The Bai Chang let out an incomprehensible roar from his mouth and swung his big knife to attack fiercely. Chu Feng's face was cold, and his spear trembled in an instant. It was like a spirit snake coming out of its hole, and in an instant, it pierced through the chest of the 100-long Southern Xiongnu. This is impossible. Bai Chang had just raised his big sword above his head, but before he could chop it down, he looked down at the long spear piercing his chest, his face full of disbelief. There's nothing impossible. Chu Feng gave a cold smile and drew out his spear. The body of the Southern Xiongnu, who was 100 years old, could no longer maintain stability. He fell from his warhorse and died of exhaustion. At the same time, the Red Blood 18 cavalry also met with other Southern Xiongnu soldiers, waving their swords together and launching a crazy attack. Their knives are fast and accurate, deadly and without any fancy. Every attack is aimed at a fatal blow. 18 people cooperated with each other and had a perfect understanding. No one can stop their attack, and the enemy's blood splatters on their armor, staining it red. It looks like ruthless killing gods. Didn't you say that only one person has combat power, and the rest are just ordinary Han people? Seeing this scene, another commander from behind, who was watching the battle, roared at the soldiers beside him. They were just ordinary Han people yesterday, otherwise they wouldn't have been almost slaughtered by us. Those soldiers were also full of grievances and doubts in their hearts. Even though yesterday was just an ordinary Han Chinese, why have they all turned into terrifying killing gods today? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Without a day's meeting, becoming elite. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Go up together and surround them all. Another Bai Chang said in a deep voice. Today, we cannot let our troops suffer too much loss, otherwise it will be difficult to go back and hand over the mission. Okay. 200 leaders reached a consensus and surrounded with all their troops. However, with a warning from the past, the 200 commanders dared not personally take action and only stood on the periphery to command the battle. Kill. The Chu wind roars with anger, yet Iran is not afraid. Kill. The 18 red-blooded cavalry cheered in unison, without flinching. In the dream, they can all face thousands, or even tens of thousands of enemies and still bravely charge forward. Although this memory has been forgotten, the instincts trained by the body are still present. Red blood 18 riders, facing one person, 18 riders will ride together, facing 10,000 people, 18 riders will also ride together. There is not much difference between one enemy and 10,000 enemies in their hearts. As long as they go to the battlefield, they only have one purpose, which is to kill. Each of them is an elite warrior, and they also know how to cooperate in combat. Their comprehensive combat effectiveness has already surpassed their own strength. And those Xianbei soldiers, the vast majority are just ordinary soldiers, a small number are elites, only those 200 soldiers have reached the elite level. The individual strength gap is too large. In addition, the Southern Xiongnu army did not understand the coordination of military formations and always rushed straight to kill. Facing opponents who are weaker than oneself, facing the Red Blood 18 cavalry, who have been in a bloody battle for 5 years in their dreams and have extremely rich combat experience and perfect coordination, is no different from a group of grass mustard that can be slaughtered by others. One by one, the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu fell under their big knives, while they remained energetic. The ground was covered with corpses, blood soaked in the earth, and a strong smell of blood permeated. The 200 commanders watching the battle looked extremely ugly. More than 300 people besieged more than 10 people, but in less than an hour, they lost nearly half of their troops, while the other party did not harm a single person. Are these Han people who are powerless and powerless? Clearly, they are the most elite cavalry of the Han dynasty. Withdraw. The two issued a retreat order in Xiongnu language. This elite Han army is really amazing. If we continue to fight, we will only suffer even greater losses. Moreover, they don't know if there are any more Han iron cavalry nearby. If there is an ambush, their small military strength may be completely destroyed. The soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu no longer wanted to face these murderous gods. Upon hearing the order to retreat, they immediately abandoned the battle and fled. Where to escape? Chu Feng let out a cold shout and chased after him with 18 red-blooded cavalry. Chased and killed dozens of miles along the way, and then killed nearly 100 people before giving up. When the crowd returned triumphantly to the village and looked at the corpses scattered all over the ground, they couldn't believe they had killed them themselves. Yesterday they were just a group of ordinary people who were chased and killed helplessly by the Southern Xiongnu cavalry. Today, in the blink of an eye, they have become elite soldiers chasing after hundreds of Southern Xiongnu cavalry for crazy slaughter. The changes before and after were completed in just one day, which is really unbelievable. After asking everyone to pay their respects to their relatives and friends again, Chu Feng asked them to bring the food used by the Southern Xiongnu soldiers back to the forest. They are still not strong enough now. We must quickly build them into the true peak of the Yanyan 18 cavalry. After finishing his meal and filling his stomach, Chu Feng let the red blood 18 cavalry rest against the big tree. Chu Feng counted the gains of this great war. In this battle, the host, together with the red blood 18 cavalry, killed 150 ordinary soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu, 50 elite soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu, and 1 elite soldier of the Southern Xiongnu. They obtained a total of 570 dream points and 570 experience points. At present, the host's dream value balance is 570 points, and the accumulated experience value has reached 630 points. As Chu Feng listened to the system report on his performance, he curiously asked, how much experience does it take to upgrade the system to an intermediate level? 10,000, the system responded. Chu Feng is a bit speechless. It takes 10,000 to reach intermediate level, and I don't know what year and month it will take to reach divine level. Later, he consumed 180 dream points and pulled the red blood 18 cavalry back into the dream to continue training. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Surrender. Sorry, I don't need prisoners. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 24 hours later, everyone woke up from their dream and their momentum surged again. Chu Feng's strength has reached the pinnacle of first class. 18 red-blooded cavalry, all of whom have become 100 battle soldiers, their strength has once again skyrocketed. Soldiers of 100 battles, their individual combat capabilities have surpassed those of the 100 generals of the Southern Xiongnu before. However, at this level, their strength improvement speed will be very slow. After all, everyone's talent is limited, and it is impossible to continuously improve their strength without limits. When they reach the peak allowed by their talents, further improvement becomes very slow. After cooking and having a big meal, Chu Feng said in a deep voice, there are not just a few people from the Southern Xiongnu army who entered Lian County. The Han people in other places are likely still being slaughtered at this time. Since we have this ability, we must try our best to save as many people as possible. Wherever the Lord goes, we will go. We will do whatever the Lord asks us to do. The 18 red-blooded riders spoke in unison. Okay. Chu Feng nodded in satisfaction. Lord, our village is 5 miles east, 6 miles north, 5 miles west, and 4 miles south. Where should we go first? Someone asked. Chu Feng thought for a moment and said, the Southern Xiongnu came from the north. Since they have already arrived at our village, the village in the north is probably more or less unlucky. Let's go south first. Then everyone flipped over and mounted their horses. Galloping south 3 miles of land is not far for cavalry. Soon, a village came into view. A mournful scream echoed through the air. The strong bloody smell has drifted into the nostrils with the wind. Hurry up. Chu Feng's face was gloomy as he vigorously slapped his warhorse. Life and death are at stake. With just 1 second, perhaps we can save a few more people. The 18 red blood cavalry also crazily slapped their warhorses, wishing to fly to the village immediately. This short distance of several tens of meters seems to be even longer than the previous 4-mile Mercedes-Benz. The crowd finally arrived at the village and saw dozens of Southern Xiongnu cavalry wielding large knives, crazily slaughtering the villagers. They treated these simple Han people as prey and galloped back and forth in the village, killing several people with each charge. The frail elderly, weak, women and children in the village were unable to run and had already been killed, leaving only strong adult men with desperate faces. Animal, take your life. Chu Feng's eyes are about to crack. Kill. The 18 red blood cavalry also roared incessantly. Upon hearing the sound, the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu turned their heads and looked over. At first, when I saw the Southern Xiongnu horses, I thought they were my own people, but when I saw the cavalry on the horses, I was surprised. Those people are obviously Han. How could they ride the war horses of the Southern Xiongnu? Before they could react, Chu Feng had already entered the village with 18 red-blooded cavalry. The long spear trembled and the firecrackers flew, picking up the shocked soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu one by one. 18 red-blooded cavalry followed closely behind, wielding their swords and launching a fierce attack. The strength of soldiers in 100 battles is unparalleled, and it is not something that these elite-level Southern Xiongnu soldiers can withstand. With Chu Feng, the top-notch warrior, taking the lead, he instantly defeated the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu. 9 people are blocking the exit, and none of these animals are allowed to escape. The other 9 people are going to protect the people. Chu Feng shouted loudly in a deep voice. No. Upon hearing this, the Red Blood 18 cavalry immediately dispatched 9 people to block the village's exit, while the other 9 people protected the survivors. Rush out. The leader of this group of Southern Xiongnu soldiers roared in Xiongnu language and launched a breakout towards the village entrance. The sudden arrival of this group of Han cavalry is too strong. If they stay, they may be completely destroyed and must escape. However, they were repeatedly attacked and repelled, unable to break through the blockade of the 9 Han cavalry at the village entrance. We surrender. The soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu collapsed, and one of them dropped his weapon and raised his hand to surrender. His mouth also spoke rather awkward Chinese. As a vassal state that had long relied on the Han dynasty for survival, it is not surprising that the people along its borders could speak some simple Chinese. In the past, as long as they surrendered, the Han army would no longer attack them, and even at a slight cost, they could redeem the prisoners. The other soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu also threw down their weapons and surrendered. Surrender. The Red Blood 18 cavalry all looked at Chu Feng and refused to kill prisoners, which was a default rule known to the people. Chu Feng's eyes were gloomy. These beasts relied on the kindness of the Han dynasty to be so reckless, right? He turned his head to look at the corpses scattered all over the village, and his gaze became determined by the hatred in the eyes of the survivors. With a wave of his spear in his hand, he casually uttered a word. Kill. Blood debt and blood compensation. If you kill one of the people of the Han dynasty, I will kill 10 or 100 of you. Repaying good for bad is not his style. No. The soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu did not expect Chu Feng to kill the prisoners, and they all let out desperate roars. Kill. The Red Blood 18 Cavalry obeyed Chu Feng's words and immediately wielded their swords to kill all the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Rescue Compatriots, Dream Training, Seeking Flowers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The surviving villagers in the village were also shocked to see this scene. These Southern Xiongnu soldiers slaughtered their relatives and friends, so they naturally wished to have all these animals killed. I just didn't expect that the general who saved them would actually slaughter prisoners. Chu Feng turned around and looked at the 8 survivors, pointing to the Red Blood 18 cavalry behind him, saying, "They, like you, are all survivors under the slaughter of the Southern Xiongnu. Their village is located 4 miles north of your village, perhaps you still know each other." The survivors heard this and looked towards the 18 Red Blood cavalry. "Li Er. Is it really you? How could you?" One of them suddenly discovered that one of the 18 majestic cavalry wielding large swords was actually someone they knew, and was shocked. A few days ago, the two of them met. At that time, Li Lauer was just an ordinary person with less strength than himself. Today, he rode on a warhorse, wielding a large sword, and killed many soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu. Not only him, but also these 18 cavalry soldiers, each of whom was incredibly powerful, forcefully killing all the enemies several times their size. Wang Laosan, I am capable of cutting enemies with my hands, all thanks to the Lord's kindness of remaking. Li Lao dismounted and approached the survivors, saying in a deep voice, "If it weren't for my lord, we would have died long ago under the butcher's knife of the Southern Xiongnu cavalry." The survivors all turned to Chu Feng. Is there a way for this handsome young man to improve his strength in a short period of time? Chu Feng dismounted from his horse and said in a deep voice, "First, let the villagers settle down. If you want to join me in killing the enemy, I will provide you with special training to enhance your strength." Okay. Everyone nodded and buried all the elders and fellow villagers in the village together. The 8 survivors in this village knelt in front of their respective loved ones' graves, crying earth-shattering and heartbroken. The family members who were chatting and laughing with me one moment ago are now separated by yin and yang in the next moment. Recalling the smile of my family members seems to be right in front of me. Damn Southern Xiongnu cavalry, they destroyed everything. Why be a person if this revenge is not avenged? Alright, now is not the time for sorrow. The main force of the Southern Xiongnu may appear at any time, and we must leave here first. Although Chu Feng couldn't bear to disturb the grieving crowd, he had to speak up to remind them. The 8 people, immersed in grief, gradually regained their senses, touched their tears, stood up, and looked at Chu Feng, saying, "We will do whatever your majesty asks us to do. We will listen to your majesty." Chu Feng nodded and said, "Take these big knives, ride these warhorses, and leave with us." Okay. Everyone nodded and looked deeply at the simple graves of their father and fellow villagers, then resolutely turned around and left. After seeking revenge, kill those damn Southern Xiongnu cavalry and come back to pay homage to their loved ones. After leaving the village, Chu Feng found a deep mountain forest and tied all his warhorses around as a warning line. Warhorses are generally very vigilant, and if there are wild animals or people approaching, they will roar. Once the sound is heard, Chu Feng will be awakened and promptly withdraw from his dream. Everyone is tired today, let's take a break first. Chu Feng said to everyone. Everyone rested on the big tree in place. Chu Feng asked the system in his heart, have their loyalty met the standard? They all meet the standards, and once they fall asleep, the host can pull them into a dream at any time, the system responded. In addition to a loyalty requirement of 50 or above, there is also a potential condition that requires the dreamer to fall asleep. While waiting for everyone to fall asleep, Chu Feng checked the gains of this battle. In the system's records, a total of 30 ordinary South Xiongnu soldiers were killed, 10 elite South Xiongnu soldiers were killed, and 1 elite soldier was killed, resulting in a total of 130 dream points and 130 experience points. Including the remaining dream values before, Chu Feng currently has a total of 520 dream values and 760 experience points. There are a total of 26 people, and 1 day of dream training requires 260 dream points. There are still 260 dream values left. Chu Feng thought for a moment and asked, "System, how much dream value does the cheapest way of training troops require?" The system responded, "The cheapest way to train a unit is to train non-special units through some ordinary military formations, which only require 100 dream points. But the host can rest assured that even non-special units have stronger combat effectiveness at the same level than other ordinary armies. All special units have stronger combat effectiveness than non-special units of the same level." And like the Red Blood 18 Cavalry under the host's command, they were trained based on the Yanyan 18 Cavalry, with the strongest combat power at the same level, none of them, I see. Chu Feng understood clearly, which means that non-special units trained through dreams are also stronger than those trained in reality. "Yes, host," the system responded. Chu Feng frowned slightly. This training method should have existed in reality, but unfortunately, he didn't know anything. It would be great if we could find a warrior who is good at training. If we could also drag him into a dream and let him train, we could save a lot of dream values. Unfortunately, there is no such person around me now. Forget it, just waste it, it's better than nothing. Chu Feng's heart was horizontal, consuming 100 dream points and exchanging it for training methods for non-special units. Everyone can fall asleep, and the host can pull them into a dream at any time. At this point, the system's prompt sound came on. Dreaming. Without hesitation, Chu Feng pulled all 26 people into a dream and conducted a 10-year special training. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. System upgrade and breakthrough of peerless generals, seeking. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 24 hours later, everyone woke up from their dreams. They always feel like something happened during this period, but they don't remember anything. Waves of complex information about combat flooded into my mind out of thin air. A powerful force emerged from within them out of thin air. The powerful momentum emanated, and at that moment they were no longer ordinary people with no strength, but elite warriors who had gone through countless life and death struggles. After this dream training, Chu Feng's strength has improved to the early stage of Super First Class. In his dream, he was already in the early stage of being a peerless warrior. In reality, he gave back 60% of his training results, but surprisingly dropped out of a great realm, only reaching the level of the Super First Class early stage. Red Blood 18 Cavalry, after 10 years of training in Dreamland, has now all become the pinnacle level warriors of 100 battles. In the dream, they are the pinnacle of ace warriors, which has almost reached the limit of mortal soldiers, and it is difficult to further improve. At present, the system is only in its early stages and can only provide 60% of the training results, which means they have almost reached the limit that can be achieved through dream training. Unless the system level is raised, it is almost impossible to achieve any level of improvement. They already have enough combat experience, and in the future, they don't need to enter dream training anymore. Instead, in reality, their training progress may be faster. After all, in reality, they are only the pinnacle of warriors and have not yet reached the realm of ace warriors. Those 8 new recruits have now all been elevated to the level of elite soldiers. However, they are just ordinary cavalry, and their combat power cannot be compared to that of the Red Blood 18 Cavalry in the elite warrior realm. The special training I gave you has ended, because you need to maintain mystery, so after the special training, you will forget all your memories except for battles, Chu Feng said. The special training has ended. No wonder we suddenly have such powerful strength. I just feel like something has happened during this period, thinking it's an illusion. It turns out I've forgotten that memory. The 8 new recruits were discussing one after another, while also examining their bodies, reminiscing about the fighter jet skills and knowledge in their minds. Now they have 100% confidence that when they encounter those beasts again, they can use their big knives to chop them to death. Thank you for your kindness, Lord. We are willing to pledge our loyalty to Lord to the death. 8 new soldiers saluted and swore to Chu Feng. Chu Feng nodded and said, "Let's start cooking rice and eat it. We'll go to the next village and try to save as many people as possible." No. Everyone took orders in unison. After finishing his meal, Chu Feng left the forest with everyone and rushed towards the nearest village. After rescuing the survivors of a village, they were taken away from the village and taken into a dream training while they were resting. In the blink of an eye, a month passed, and through this method, he saved several or even a dozen survivors time and time again, and pulled these survivors into dream training. Now, in addition to the remaining red blood 18 cavalry of the peak 100 warriors, his team also has 300 ordinary cavalry, all of whom have reached the level of the peak 100 warriors. Although the realm is the same, if 2 cavalry fight each other, the red blood 18 cavalry can completely annihilate 300 ordinary cavalry without any damage. This is the difference between special branches and non-special branches. Moreover, the red blood 18 cavalry is still one of the most powerful types of troops. In this month, he has visited all the villages in the north of Lian County, dozens of villages with a population of several thousand, and in the end, there were only these 300 people. The rest were all killed. However, after a month of hunting, the soldiers of the Southern Xiongnu dared not disperse and withdrew from the territory of Lian County, probably to join the main force. Chu Feng wandered around Lian County with more than 300 people for a long time, but only found dozens of soldiers from the Southern Xiongnu who had not yet had time to withdraw. In front of more than 300 fierce killing gods, they could not stir up any waves and were instantly annihilated. Host, the accumulated experience has reached 10,000 and meets the system upgrade conditions. Do you want to upgrade now? At this moment, Chu Feng's mind rang with a system prompt sound. Upgrade. He quickly said. After a month of effort, the system can finally be upgraded. The system is being upgraded. Upon hearing the system's prompt sound, Chu Feng regained his consciousness and said, "Set up camp and rest on the spot, with 18 red-blooded cavalry on guard." No. Everyone accepted orders in unison. When the soldiers' camp is completed, the system has also been upgraded. The system upgrade has been completed. Currently, the level is intermediate, and 70% of the dream training results can be returned to reality. It can accommodate 1,000 people to dream at the same time. Upgrading to advanced requires experience points of 200,000. Upon hearing the system prompt, Chu Feng's lips showed a faint smile. By giving back 70%, you should be able to break through to the realm of a peerless warrior, right? After waiting for a long time, but without any improvement in strength, Chu Feng couldn't help but wonder, "System, I was already a peak and unparalleled general in my dream. How come the system has been upgraded and my strength hasn't improved?" The system responded, "The host must enter the dream training again to improve." Chu Feng is speechless. Isn't this a waste of dream value? Entering the dream realm for 10 years of cultivation, it is impossible to break through the realm of the pinnacle and unparalleled generals. Forget it, go to sleep. He looked at the remaining dream values and found that there were still 4,000 points left, enough to pull everyone into the dream training. At the beginning of the system, it could only accommodate 100 people at a time, and each training was conducted in batches. Now promoted to intermediate level, it can accommodate 1,000 people at once, but Chu Feng was still divided into 2 batches. After all, someone also needs to stand guard and be vigilant. In case someone ambushes you during dream training, it's not good. Chu Feng sent out the red blood 18 cavalry to patrol, and after the 300 cavalry fell asleep, he gave them 12 hours of dream training. If it weren't for the dream training that required at least 12 hours of real time each time, he would have wanted to dream for only 1 hour. 12 hours later, 300 cavalry soldiers woke up from their dreams, their breath skyrocketing, and they officially became the ace early warriors. Subsequently, Chu Feng dispatched 300 cavalry to patrol and let the Red Blood 18 cavalry return to rest. After they fall asleep, they are pulled into dreams for training. Another 12 hours have passed, and all 18 Red Blood cavalries have become ace early warriors. As for Chu Feng, he successfully broke through to the realm of an unparalleled early warrior. Shortly after waking up from his dream, a cavalry soldier rushed over, dismounted, and reported, "Lord, we have discovered the main army of the Southern Xiongnu, estimated to be no less than 30,000, and are heading towards the county town. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. County Magistrates collude with the Southern Xiongnu. Then come on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. County town. Do they still want to attack the city? Chu Feng's gaze flickered and he said in a deep voice, "Let's go, follow me to the county town." Robbery and siege have completely different meanings. For the emperor, if it's just plundering, even if he kills all the border people, he can ignore it. But if the city is lost, it would be a big deal for the emperor. Generally speaking, when northern tribes go south to plunder, they will not attack the city. Unless you really want to tear your face off with a big man. When everyone rushed all the way to the county town, the army of the Southern Xiongnu had not yet appeared. Chu Feng stationed 300 cavalry outside the south of the city, bringing 18 red-blooded cavalry into the city, preparing to discuss with the county magistrate of Lian County how to resist the enemy. Outside the county gate, everyone turned over and dismounted. Li Laoer took a step forward and clasped his fists, saying, "Could you please inform me that my lord is requesting to see Zhu Mingting and discuss the defense against the army of the Southern Xiongnu?" Ming Court is a respectful title given by the people or subordinates to the county magistrate. It is the same principle as the people calling the prefect and the governor the envoy. Please wait a moment. The guard, perhaps feeling that the newcomer had an extraordinary aura, did not make things difficult. He quickly turned around and entered the mansion to report. After a moment, the guard walked out quickly and said, "Ming Ting has invited you, but only one person can enter." "Okay, thank you." Chu Feng had the Red Blood 18 cavalry wait outside the gate, and he followed the guards alone into the county government. "I have met Zhu Mingting." In the county hall, Chu Feng saluted the man sitting in the main seat. "I heard you came to me to discuss the matter of repelling the Southern Xiongnu." The magistrate of Lian County was a man with a big belly, and when he saw Chu Feng, he said in a low voice. "Not bad." Chu Feng nodded. "Just a dozen or so of you." The man sitting at the top of the right sneered twice. "Our Lianshan County has 500 county soldiers, and they dare not say they have repelled the 30,000 army of the Southern Xiongnu. How dare you, a dozen or so people, make such a wild statement? The value of military strength is not much, but not much." Chu Feng glanced at him and said indifferently, "These dozen or so of me are enough to withstand tens of thousands of troops." "I'm not ashamed to speak big," the man sneered coldly. "I've been in the military for decades, and I've never seen such an arrogant person before." Zhu County Magistrate waved his hand and squinted his eyes slightly, asking, "Is it not under your command that the mysterious army that hunted and killed scattered cavalry of the Southern Xiongnu in the past month?" "Exactly." Chu Feng nodded. The man's face changed slightly, with a slightly subtle expression. "I don't know why, but he feels that the atmosphere is a bit off." Suddenly, his heart twitched and he casually glanced over the dark corner on the right side of the hall. There, he clearly felt a murderous aura. As he pondered why someone had shown murderous intent towards him, Zhu County Magistrate smiled and said, "Young master, protecting the people of Lian County and resisting the Southern Xiongnu for our Lian County is truly a young hero. Tonight, I will hold a banquet to welcome the young master and carefully discuss how to repel the army of the Southern Xiongnu. What does young master think?" Chu Feng's gaze flickered and he nodded, saying, "Okay, just listen to the Ming court. If there's nothing else, the grassroots will leave first. Go ahead." County Magistrate Chu waved his hand. "Farewell." Chu Feng clasped his fists and turned around to leave. After he left, a person walked out from the dark corner, dressed in Han clothing, but his appearance was that of the Southern Xiongnu. Why did County Magistrate Chu let him leave? The Southern Xiongnu spoke Chinese well and their eyes were filled with anger. "Don't forget, we have reached an agreement. Please help us find him and hand him over, and we will immediately withdraw our troops. Otherwise, if the general gets angry, our 30,000-strong army will surely conquer Lian County." Zhu County Magistrate smiled and said, "There is no need to summon envoys. For the sake of long-term cooperation in the future, we cannot handle this matter. You should go back and inform the Grand Marshal to send some elite troops to ambush the mansion in advance tonight." At the banquet, I used throwing a glass as a signal and immediately rushed out, chopping it to death with a disorderly knife. In order to permanently eliminate future troubles, I will have him bring those 18 guards with him, and you can bring more people. In addition, at night, send someone to circle around the southern city and find the camp of the hundreds of cavalry under his command, and annihilate it in one fell swoop. In this way, there can be no worries at all. The people of the Southern Xiongnu were stunned and only gave a thumbs up to Zhu County Magistrate after a while, exclaiming, "You Han people are really good at playing Yin." Zhu County Magistrate smiled calmly and said, "I hope you also don't forget to agree to my request. Don't worry, as soon as you send troops, we will symbolically resist and withdraw. In the future, we will also frequently come south to plunder. As long as you send troops, we will withdraw. We guarantee that you will earn enough credit and be promoted as soon as possible," the Southern Xiongnu said with a smile. "That's best," Zhu County Magistrate nodded. "If that's the case, then I'll leave first." The Southern Xiongnu man put on his hat and turned around to leave. "Big brother, do you really want to cooperate with those Southern Xiongnu people?" asked the man who had previously questioned Chu Feng's strength. "Only in this way can we be promoted faster and leave this damn place faster," said the county magistrate in a low voice. "I understand." The man nodded. At the same time, after the Southern Xiongnu left the county seat, Li Lauer walked out from the corner and followed him closely, all the way out of the north gate. In the dream, besides daily training, the Red Blood 18 Cavalry's tracking and anti-tracking abilities are also key training items. Especially now that it is difficult to further improve their strength, their training focus has shifted to other areas. After a long time, Li Lauer returned to the county town and reported to Chu Fenghui at an inn, "Lord, that mysterious person left the county government and left the city, entering the Southern Xiongnu camp." Southern Xiongnu campsite. Chu Feng's eyebrows furrowed slightly. Is it possible that Zhu County Magistrate was in collusion with the Southern Xiongnu? "Lord, tonight's banquet may not be safe, should we not go?" someone advised. "Lord, even without the support of county soldiers, we can still defeat the 30,000 Southern Xiongnu army alone," someone said. Chu Feng shook his head and said, "Although our strength is strong, we must not take it lightly or take reckless actions. I not only want to ensure that we win the battle, but also try to minimize casualties. Especially those 300 cavalry, they are just ordinary troops and their combat effectiveness is far inferior to yours. Even though we have reached the initial stage of ace, if we want to attack the army of 30,000 Southern Xiongnu, there may still be casualties. These main forces of the Southern Xiongnu were not just ordinary people, so it is difficult to guarantee that there will not be some ace warriors among them. Lord, what should we do?" Li Lauer asked. Chu Feng smiled and said, "Go to the banquet tonight and give them a plan. Qingming outing and happy reading." Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Turns out you've been pretending to be drunk, begging for flowers. You are listening at novel full.audio. At night, Chu Feng led his 18 red-blooded cavalry to the county government for a banquet and was warmly welcomed by Zhu County Magistrate. Welcome to the young heroes of Lian County. County Magistrate Zhu stood outside the gate of the county government, welcoming officials such as the county captain and county magistrate along the way. As Chu Feng and others arrived bare-handed, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Not even carrying weapons, I don't know if they should be called innocent, or are skilled people bold. However, it's also good to avoid having to come up with a reasonable reason for them to unload their weapons. Zhu Mingting praised falsely, Feng, the name of a hero, I don't deserve it. Chu Feng smiled and shook his head, showing a flattered expression on his face. Zhu County Magistrate laughed and said, the Southern Xiongnu invaded the territory of our great Han and massacred our people. The magistrate was busy resisting the yellow turban thieves and had no time to distract him. Fortunately, a young hero emerged from Lian County, leading the victimized people to spontaneously resist the Southern Xiongnu army and prevent them from plundering and slaughtering further south. I am waiting for the people of the whole county to thank the hero for his actions. Zhu Mingting is serious, we just want to survive, Chu Feng said calmly. Zhu County Magistrate nodded and asked again, by the way, you still don't know the name of the hero. My name is Chu Feng, Chu Feng said. Chu hero, the banquet is ready, please come with me, Zhu County Magistrate said with a smile. Then I'll bother you. Chu Feng nodded and said to Li Lauer and others, just wait outside the mansion. Upon hearing this, County Magistrate Zhu quickly said, Chu heroes, these are all your guards and heroes who hunted down the cavalry of the Southern Xiongnu. Come in together. Will this bother the Ming court too much? Chu Feng said. No, we respect heroes very much, Zhu County Magistrate said with a smile. Since that's the case, let's go together. Chu Feng said to Li Lauer and others. No. Li Lauer and others responded in unison. Upon entering the mansion, everyone took their seats one by one. The magistrate of Zhu County picked up his wine glass and loudly said, Hero of Chu, I have been falsely appointed as a father and mother official of Lian County, but I am unable to send troops to resist the cavalry of the Southern Xiongnu. I feel guilty in my heart. Fortunately, it was the heroic act of Chu that saved Lian County from even greater disasters. This cup of wine, I salute you, Zhu Mingting praised falsely. Chu Feng picked up his wine glass, clinked it with Zhu County Magistrate across the air, and drank it all in one gulp. Chu heroes have a good tolerance for alcohol. Zhu County Magistrate's gaze flickered, and he poured another glass. He raised his glass and said, now that the 30,000-strong army of the Southern Xiongnu, Chen Bing, is outside the north gate, whether they can defend the county town and repel the enemy will depend entirely on the heroes of Chu. I would like to toast you again. Chu Feng picked up his wine glass and drank it all in one gulp, saying, to resist the army of the Southern Xiongnu, I alone am not enough. I still need the cooperation of Zhu Mingting. That's nature, guarding the city. It's my duty to do so, Zhu County Magistrate said forcefully. Chu hero, young and promising, I also toast you. County officials, county captains, and other officials of all sizes came to toast one after another. Chu Feng refused to refuse visitors and drank it all at once. Later generations, he drank high-concentration baijiu of more than 50 degrees. Now he drinks the wine of this era, just like drinking plain water. For him, the alcohol content of these wines is too low. Unfortunately, County Magistrate Zhu and others were unaware of this. Half drunk, Chu Feng pretended to be drunk and couldn't even open his eyes. Zhu County Magistrate seemed a bit drunk, holding a wine glass and standing up, wanting to walk towards Chu Feng, but his body was shaking. Brother Chu, your alcohol tolerance is not good. As he was speaking and walking, he accidentally bumped into the table, causing his wine glass to slip off and crash to the ground. At that moment, countless terrifying murderous intentions emerged from the dark corners around. A group of people dressed in Han costumes with different faces from Han people rushed out. Southern Xiongnu people. Chu Feng's eyes narrowed slightly, but his expression was not panicked. What are you doing? County Magistrate Zhu is still pretending not to know these Southern Xiongnu people and angrily questioning them. Other officials, however, did not show much panic and clearly knew about the plan. They are not as good at pretending as County Magistrate Zhu. We're here today to kill Chu Feng, not anyone else. The leader spoke fluent Chinese and looked at Chu Feng without concealing the murderous intent in his eyes. Among the many Southern Xiongnu commanders killed by Chu Feng, one of them was his younger brother. His hatred towards Chu Feng was much stronger than any other Southern Xiongnu people. Chu Feng had a faint smile on his face and said disdainfully, "A group of rodents dare not engage in direct combat with me, and only use this kind of vulgar means. No matter what means you use, as long as you can kill you." The Southern Xiongnu, led by them, said coldly. Chu Feng sneered twice and looked at Zhu County Magistrate who was still pretending to be drunk. He said coldly, "Can a group of Southern Xiongnu people quietly enter the county government? If that's the case, why send a 30,000-strong army? Also, you are the only one who can pretend, while others are much more honest than you." Upon hearing these words, County Magistrate Zhu understood that there was no need to pretend anymore. His drunkenness disappeared instantly, and he smiled and said, "So, Brother Chu has been pretending to be drunk with me all this time." "That's it for each other," Chu Feng said with a smile. Watching his calm demeanor, Zhu County Magistrate felt inexplicably uneasy in his heart. Could it be that he had already discovered his plan? But if discovered, why would he still come to the banquet? Is it difficult for him to think that with these dozen or so unarmed soldiers, he can escape safely from the siege of these 50 or 60 Southern Xiongnu soldiers? Kill him. Zhu County Magistrate took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. He doesn't want to drag on any longer, he must fight and make a quick decision to avoid long dreams at night. Kill. The Southern Xiongnu, led by them, also issued a killing order. Chu Feng snorted coldly, reached under the table, and suddenly pulled out a long spear. With a tremble of the wrist, the long spear went out to sea like a dragon, instantly piercing through the chest of a Southern Xiongnu person. "This is impossible, how could you have weapons?" Zhu County Magistrate was shocked. Before entering, he had carefully observed Chu Feng and others and did not find any weapons. Moreover, such a long gun cannot be hidden. How did he know that Chu Feng could incorporate weapons into the system space? Although the system space is not large, there is still no problem storing more than 10 weapons. Just as he reached under the table, he quietly took out the weapon, and in an instant, the gun appeared directly in his hand, while the weapon of the Red Blood 18 Cavalry was placed on the ground. The Red Blood 18 Cavalry quickly bent down and picked up the big knife from the ground, like a group of tigers coming out of cages, angrily pouncing on the prey. Soldiers of 100 battles are definitely among the top in other armies. But in front of a special elite unit like the Red Blood 18 Cavalry, it's not enough. Block the exit. Chu Feng shouted angrily, and the 18 red-blooded cavalry quickly rushed to the exit, killing one by one, and killing a pair by one. Dozens of Southern Xiongnu people were trapped in this banquet hall and massacred by Chu Feng and the 18 red-blood cavalry. Zhu County Magistrate and other officials of various sizes in Lian County were all stunned. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.